So, ladies and gentlemen, we got law number 4, which says always say less than necessary. I love this one. Always say less than necessary. Always say just enough for people to know what you want them to know. But let's listen to the description. It says, when you are trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear, and the less in control you are. Even if you are saying something banal, it will seem original if you make it vague, open-ended and sphinxical or sphinx-like. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. The more you say, the more likely you are to sound foolish, or the more likely you are to say something foolish. The aim of the game is that when you say less, people can focus more on what you're actually trying to say, as opposed to if you say a lot more about something, then you're just drifting, you're just losing people's attention span. But one thing I like about what this law says and how to apply it is when you always say less than necessary, you're basically saying just enough to get your point across. That's what intelligent people do. They say just enough. Like if you've realized how I communicate, I use certain words and I think before I speak. That is part of a very important process when you're going to say less. You have to think before you speak. And the way you think is that you put yourself in the other person's shoes and you say, if I were to say this word like this, how would they digest it? How would they receive it? How would it sound like to them? What kind of emotions would it evoke in them? You need to be very, very positive in your approach, in a sense that put yourself in the other person's shoes in order for you to build a connection between your side and their side. And that's what I do a lot when I do seminars and I do motivational talks and I speak in public. I always look at the people first and I try to get hints and I try to make my conversation very relevant to the situation right there and then. I try to put myself into an everyday person's shoes and say, okay, maybe the person wakes up in the morning, has breakfast, brushes their teeth, takes a shower, puts on their clothes, puts their kids to the bath, make them shower, make them dress, take them to school, make them breakfast, put them in the car, take them to school, kiss them goodbye, and then from there there's a whole other process of what happens during school, where you at work, when you come back from work, you pick up your kids from school, maybe you're a nanny. You have to put yourself in the entire life cycle of an individual when you address them. And in so doing, you gain control over them because you know their input and outputs in life, and therefore you can predict their movements, and therefore you can intercept their movements, and therefore you can position your product or your whatever business you're selling, you can project it at the right time, at the right place. But that's because you say less than necessary. You think more than you say. So in a nutshell, that is what we're saying when it comes to law number 4. So do yourself a favor and practice law number 4. Say less than what is necessary. Say just enough that will get your person to just know enough without you rambling on and on and on and on. That's Tshakoane.